Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 31st of March. A quarter of the year is gone. Quite mind-boggling. However, Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 2 has Solomon telling us, "Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinion." And as I read that, I thought, it sounds almost like Solomon had a vision of what the 21st century was going to be like in social media. And I just think of the number of times you see this on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and all these places of social media where people share things and talk without ever stopping to really think, without taking the time to understand what the issue actually is. They'll just sound off. And Solomon says, when you do that, that's the mark of a fool. Again, a little later, he says in verse 13, to answer before listening, that is folly and shame. And that is a word of wisdom for every age. And I don't know how often you've been engaged with somebody, having a discussion with a person, and you suddenly realize they're not actually listening to you. They're so busy in their own minds thinking of what they're going to say next, the point they're going to make, that they're not really listening to what you're saying. And it's so easy to do that when you're in a debate or discussion, to be processing your thoughts yourself so that you're not actually listening and understanding and getting your head around what the person's saying. And that, I think, is a challenge we should take, because sort of what we say is influential and powerful. A little later in the chapter, again, in verse 21, Solomon says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And we need to recognize that our words can have profound influence on people, on our environment, on our own lives. And therefore, wisdom is, choose your words well, listen carefully, make sure we understand what the issue is before we weigh in on it. And there are certainly times when we need to stand up and speak out and be heard and make a noise. But there are also as many, probably more times, that it is more prudent to just keep quiet and let things be. So be challenged as you go through life and have to try and weigh this up and try and decide when to speak and when not to speak, what to say, what not to say. But always remember to listen and engage, to hear what people are saying. Because there's nothing better than speaking to somebody and you realize that person has actually heard what I was saying. They've been able to understand where I'm coming from. That just opens the relationship up to great depth. So be challenged as you engage with people to be able to speak with discretion and to listen before speaking. And as we do that, we will be blessed.